So when you go home, I want you all to do the same thing. Take your time, thank you. Go through the tabs. If you have any questions next class, come back and ask, but we're also going to implement this as we start to write, okay? I just want you to get familiar with it and don't freak out, because if you're not shown this, then you start to freak out and you're like, I don't know how to use it. So we're going to show you how to use it, but right now I want you to get familiar with this so it's not last minute with you trying to get familiar with how to figure out how to use this, okay? And it's universal, and what I mean by that, so you want to go to Wesleyan, correct? Shanita can use this at Wesleyan. Like, it's from here, go anywhere, from here, use it anywhere. You could do that. So then next thing, before I move on, questions. You okay? Anything you want me to show you again before we X out of this? Okay. So then we go to creative writing and being creative in your writing. You're writing a narrative, correct? I'm going to implement that. I got to see if I can find my own. Okay. So my first semester for grad school at ODU, we had to write an autobiography for a language autobiography. And this is where, did you pass out the essay? No. Okay, go ahead and pass that one. So, Sydney and I were discussing, and I was like, no, it's autobiography. She goes, no, it's biography. And I was like, well, no, it's more, because auto is more about self, but both are actually correct. So I'm going to show you if I can find what I need. What class was that? What did I call it? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where is my, I probably should pull this up before you. I'm trying to think, if not, how to go to my ODU account. Because I wanted to show you. Aha. That's what I needed. I had to look for that. Aha! That's what we're looking for. Okay. So within my own writing, which is why I'm going to show you this, so that means it has been done and it can be done as soon as this pulls up. Did you ever find yours or no? Mm-mm. Okay. So when I wrote mine, I wrote it from the third person perspective. I took the I out of it, which you can, when you write narratives, you can use I, but I removed the I from it, and notice I did the MLA setup. I just called it linguistic autobiography. So this is my first paragraph, and if you look at my sentences, I believe 1, 2, okay, there we go. Was it 3, 4, 5? Did I just do 5 for that one? I think so, as I'm skimming through, and I think to get to the point. Well, I wrote it from a third person perspective. This was actually my name before I changed my first name. So when you read through it, you would think that someone else wrote it, if that makes sense. So I'll read the first paragraph. Ivana Peretta Newton was born on April 14, 1978 in Norfolk, Virginia, to the parents of Laverne Turner Newton and Edward Franklin Newton, Jr. Not known to Ivana, her eyes were her first form of language expression. To communicate with her parents, she would use her eye gaze to signal to one of them that she wanted to be held. Along with this communication skill, she learned how to smile. To her parents, this was a signal of love and contentment. Moving along, and as her motor skills developed, she began to manipulate her body to express that she was in need of attention. However, if this action was not met, she learned how to cry. In her mind, crying was a universal language for please see me because I am present. To Ivana, language was a symbol of her past, but an expression of Sakai's future. So if you read this, you wouldn't think that I wrote this because I took the I out of it. So that's the difference of being. Did you see the difference with me reading that? Even though when you're looking at me knowing that I wrote it, but I didn't say I was born on. Right, because I think even my instructor, when she read it, she didn't even know it was about me until she got to through the paper, but when she got to the last sentence, she was like, what? So I didn't say I was born, and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can write it from taking yourself out of it, if that makes sense. So it's a difference from being creative in your writing and writing creatively. Does that make sense, or do you need another example? Another example? That's fine. Okay. Anyone else? Another example?
Me.
You okay? Shanita, what did you need in regards to when you asked for another example? What else do you need?
Oh no, I was saying it was fine.
Oh, you're okay? You understand? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you've written a narrative in Ms. Holcomb's class, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then for your paper, you used I, right? Which is fine. Can you explain to the class how you implemented? Did you do a paragraph or a whole essay?
I think it was a paragraph.
Okay, can you maybe recall how you implemented? No? James, it's been a while for you. Do you remember about the I or a third person perspective?
It's kind of like most likely like we use only like first person and third person, not second person, as in like me, we, somewhere.
You're close, but since you're talking about first person thinking, do you mind writing a little chart? Okay, now this is one, if you took another language, to me taking Spanish, which I didn't know was part of my blood, doing my DNA, I realized also most of me does stem from Africa, but also Latina, es en mi sangre. So that's the reason why, I guess. But once I took another language, something started to click a little bit better in first person and second person. So what's going to happen, this is why I was asking if anybody's going to take Spanish or French or whatever. Do me a favor, write it. Do me a favor, write it. Remember when you took French? How did your chart look? Yours look that way?
What we did for perspective.
Okay, this is where I was saying that two perspectives can still be used, okay?
Okay.
She's going to show you hers. I'm going to show you the chart that I'm good. This is my singular. This is my plural. Right here is how you would write
Oh, we did it singular and plural this way across.
it. Okay, and then we did it this way, so this would be first. All right, we're both going to write our chart. This is when I say in education, you can still get to the same result without being like, oh, she's wrong, or I'm wrong, or you're right, I'm right. This is also now we're going to show you, because your mind might work better for this chart. For me, my mind works better for this chart. Does it make sense? So don't get confused, but now I'm going to show you how in education you can still get to the same point. Is that clear? Do we still have time? Yes, we still have time. Okay, so she's going to write hers. I'm going to write mine. All right, so for me, this is third person. Okay, second person, first person, second person, third person. Okay, so in Spanish, it was like yo, so I, we. You, this is the command language where they say don't use unless it's a direct quote, you. He, she, it, they, and you don't have a you plural, but that would be in Spanish, you plural. Okay, so usually they say in academic writing, unless it's a direct quote, don't use this one. This is going to be your first person, which your narrative is going to be written in, but if you use the plural of I, it's we. So that would be, instead of saying my dogs and I, it would be we went to the park. Third person, we're not going to worry about right now, but I wanted to show you the chart, and that's her chart. So it's up to you. You can take a picture of it, whatever clicks, you can use it. If you want to take notes, that's fine. I'm open to whatever you want to do. Because this one might work better for you, this one might work better for you. It's up to you. But when you write your narrative, it should be first person singular, and if you incorporate more than one person, like say if you're talking about your children, your husband, your kids in the story, it'll go to we, or you can do it in the perspective that I just showed you, which would be the third person perspective without me. I removed the I did say she, I used this. So this would be the third person perspective that I use, but you don't have to use this. But if you want to challenge yourself to write it from that perspective, you're more than welcome. Or you can start off doing the I, then once you get it to where you want it, you can take the I out and then put it back with the main. Does it make sense? It's up to you, but either way is correct. Whatever you feel comfortable will get you to the point. Okay? So when I'll do another one really quick if I can find it. Being creative in your writing. So remember I was telling you that I have my paper on Jay-Z, right? Okay. Cindy is excited because she was So because of Dr. Anderson, I, in American English, started this project. So when I did it, at first I had side A for the peeps, and I said it just like that. Side B, the remix. The remix was for the linguistic field. And the reason why I said that, because you know in hip hop, or even when we're talking with our friends or anything else, the language is a little different. The remix was more for the field because I had to use technical terms, but I wanted a paper that everybody could relate to. So this past semester, I did it again, because when I turned into Dr. Deffenbaugh, Stacey Deffenbaugh, she was like, "Son, I don't know," but I'm like, my spirit was like, this is the essence of hip hop. Like if Jay-Z read this, if he had a rock with one and that kept his essence, this hip hop stance one, which I called it, would keep his essence. Then I got another one that was called the linguistic review, and I'll show you. This is why I'm saying being creative in your writing and not. So within hip hop, and if you notice within this class, I'm going to show you my own writings to hopefully that you'll kind of relate to it. Does that make sense? If this does not help you all, let me know. So I did the linguistic review one. This would be just for the field, and I had to do APA. So look at my introduction, and I'll read it to you. Everything that hip hop touches is transformed by the encounter, especially language. From Jay-Z's perspective, language is coded and words are rewritten and transformed to meet the intended purpose of content and of context. While being from Bed-Stuy and growing up in New York, his dialect was influenced by his environment. For this reason, Jay-Z has his own language system that is certified with sound. From the content of his interviews and his music, Jay-Z's phonology is redefining itself every single day. And that was the one for the field, okay? I'm going to show you the one for hip hop. Now, this is where I'm a linguist. I do not censor language. So, and you know within hip hop, it's really not censored. So, when you're reading stuff also and you pull articles, if they have colorful language and you still need to read it because it's written in the article, I'm okay with that. Does that make sense? Okay. And I'm telling you this for a reason. So, ain't no ordinary nigga, breathe. What more can I say? Oprah and I have since gone on to become friendly acquaintances. Moreover, in Decoded, Jay-Z stated, she's also someone who's been vocally skeptical about hip hop for a long time because of the violence and rawness of a lot of the imagery in language, particularly the use of which she called the N-word. From the perspective of Jay-Z, creating this poetry came easy. He didn't recognize it as a gift, so he just toyed with it. According to Jay-Z, in the end, it came down to having a great product and the hustle to move it. Furthermore, he believes that everything that hip-hop touches is transformed by the encounter, especially language. To him, with language, rappers have raided the dictionary and written in new entries to everyday definition. For this reason, Jay-Z has his own language system that is certified with sound. Since languages differ from one another without limit, Jay-Z's linguistic cipher allows him to transcend the environment to reach an audience that he knew he could speak to. From the content of his interviews and his music, Jay-Z's phonology is redefining itself every single day. You see the difference? But I took both perspectives, so that's why I'm saying it's not right, it's not wrong, but for the hip hop community, this is more real. There you go. Thank you. I couldn't find the words. So when I write, so I'm understanding when you all write for us, Sydney also, when she reads my papers, helps me tweak them. I have sometimes 10 drafts. We're understanding your point of view. Does that make sense? So we'll be understanding where you're coming from. And I'm not going to say it's right, I'm not going to say it's wrong. So however you want to write your narrative, but it will have to be, because narrative either I or it could be the third person. It's not going to be you unless you're going to quote somebody directly. Then that would be you when you can use the you. But we're not going to say, oh, that's not right. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm also wanting to make sure you explore that. So, for your homework, don't forget, think of your essay topic, review Purdue OWL, find a current event summary. Now, when you do your summary, Sydney, can you erase that? Because I want to make sure you address these questions when you do your summary. And we have 4 minutes left. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to need to see it, make sure you've done it. Don't forget to print out what source you decided to use. Like if it's New York Times, if it's the paper, bring it so we can actually see what you did. We're going to share that. So when we meet Wednesday, we're going to review what we did today. We're going to get into online database, Sydney's gonna also work and show you all that. We're gonna get into citations, we're gonna show you that. And we're gonna go further on for homework. We'll have homework, but we'll also probably, hopefully by Wednesday, get a chance to go downstairs to actually start to type on the computer in regards to everything, so you know where we're located. When you do a summary, you wanna address who, what, when, where,
Why
yep, y'all are correct. Now, it's one of these that help you answer one. I'm trying to think of what, when, where. I'm trying to remember how, hold on. Because in my mind, it's still the same way, but it's something, it's gonna be small really quick, so I'm trying to figure out. Why?
Or you switch the list.
Why is because something happened. When, where. This is the purpose. Purpose. All right, so how, I'm trying to think of how to make this connect right now, it's not connecting. When you do your how, think about the purpose. The purpose, why we're a government shutdown or whatever the case is. That would be, you address that. When you think about your why, we're in government shutdown because, oh, there we go, these two somehow will connect, I think. Okay, so your purpose, the purpose, there's a government shutdown because, so it's the why, I think it's these two. I think you get it right, it's just my mind, I had to see it this way. Does that make sense? So I'm giving you those keywords because I want to make sure. So I don't know, after you read your article, while you read, highlight, underline, circle, whatever, put your who, maybe take these quick notes, then draft your sentences. You should hopefully come up with 5 complete sentences, and we'll share those, okay? Any questions? We got 2 minutes. Any questions, anything else you need?
So for the narrative essay, you want us to pick either or, first or third, or can we do like a mix of both?
Right now, don't think about that project.